Hello, this is Dr. Kamani, licensed clinical psychologist. And this song popped in my head today, so I felt inspired to do a video based upon this song. So you may remember this song by 702, I Don't Really Want to Stay, I Don't Really Want to Go. And I was thinking about it in terms of my own experience in relation to the journey that it took me to leave a toxic job. So even though I knew that the job was no longer fulfilling, I knew the job was harming me, all these things. I knew that. And I still stayed. And I stayed for so many reasons. It's like one of my guests talked about this on during my one of my interviews with her on YouTube, where she mentioned that being in a toxic job is like being in a bad relationship where you hope that your partner will get it together because you don't want to leave your partner. Okay, but the partner's not doing right. So it's similar to a toxic job. So you may have a similar experience just as I did. And I talked with Stephanie Perry about my own journey in relation to leaving a toxic job. So it is a journey. It really is. So again, I'm talking to women, Black women, who are ready to leave their toxic jobs. I'm not talking to anyone or Black women who want to stay at a toxic job, want to stick it out. This is not for you. Okay. This is for Black women who are ready to leave a toxic job. You may be in a situation like I was in, as I talked about in the video with Stephanie Perry about Black women leaving toxic jobs. You may be in the same situation that I was in which I was determined to stick it out. I was determined to, try to make things work at that toxic job. But no matter what I did, it didn't make it any better. And I knew that they weren't willing to work with me to try to make it better. So I was just kind of spinning my wheels. Okay. So again, like in a bad relationship. So you may try different things. You may try to work with your partner, just like you may try to work with your job. You may try to get clarity, just like you might try to do that with a relationship. Okay. So again, I didn't want to stay in the sense that I knew it was hurting me. I knew that. And I didn't, of course, who would want to stay in a situation where you're being hurt or being abused? Okay. So I did not want to stay for that reason. But I also did not want to leave because so many things. Number one, I was working with children. I love children. Okay. And I had started doing things in terms of really taking the initiative with doing things that had never been done in my school district before. And so I was like thriving on that. I was thriving on doing something different that was so well received throughout the district. So that made me happy. That fulfilled me. I felt like it was aligned with the work that I wanted to do. And there was more money coming in the school district for Black students. So I was excited about that, about the possibility of, providing trainings and consultations and things like that for that Black student program. Okay. However, in my toxic job situation, there was no investment in me working in that program. They would tell other people, oh, yeah, Dr. Kamani's going to work in that program, but they had never conveyed that to me. And then when I asked, about the possibility of me collaborating with this program, providing trainings, I was demoted and told that no, that wouldn't be a possibility at all, right? So no involvement. So I was trying to make it stay even after I was demoted. I even tried to make it stay or stay by telling myself, well, even though I have outgrown the position that they're putting me back to, right? So they put me back to my entry level position, even though I had, glowing, performance reviews, had never had any disciplinary action, anything like that, right? I had actually stepped up in terms of initiative, but I said to myself, okay, I'm being demoted. I'm being put back to this entry level position. I can stick it out. I can try to make it work. And I'm trying to make excuses to make it work. Okay. So if you are in that situation also where you're trying to make excuses and trying to say, okay, well, I don't like most of it, but I can do this part, that's problematic. Okay. So that is exactly what happened to me. So I kept saying, okay, well, if I can do this. So then they told me, no, you can't have any involvement in this Black Black student program. Okay. Even though you've been talking about Black students all this time and you've been doing all these things for Black students, you can't have any involvement in that at all. Okay. So I said, okay, well, if that's okay. So can I be based at a school where there's a large Black student population? And I'm in Los Angeles, so that's very rare. Okay. So I asked for that. I'm trying to make it work, right? Even in this demoted position. And they said no. Okay. So all these things in which I'm trying to make it work because I did not really want to leave. I felt that, and this is the part where I was lying to myself. And I'm saying this to you, I'm sharing this with you because you may be in a similar position of lying to yourself. So I was lying to myself in the sense of saying, well, I need to stay here because I started doing this work and I don't want the work to stop with me leaving. Okay. So that was the one thing. The other thing was that I had taken on the title and I used to call myself the Harriet. I used to call myself the Harriet at the job that I was helping other Black people, other Black students, staff, families to find our way to freedom, okay, and to really challenge these oppressive systems. However, what I didn't recognize was that the system was not changing really, okay? So they may have certain programs, they may do certain things. However, certain people will undermine the progress of those programs, right? So not allowing me, not allowing certain things to happen, you have certain insecure people who will block that progress. And so it was like I was running into a wall, kept trying to run into a wall. I'm trying to talk to other people to try to advocate for me. I'm trying to get people to write testimonials for me in terms of proving my worth. But the more I did that, the more it was me trying to show people of my worth. And that's just like in a bad relationship. You're trying to show somebody your worth so they should do better. Okay. So again, so many parallels between a toxic job and a bad relationship. Okay. So if you are in a situation where you feel like you're trying to prove your worth, you're trying to negotiate with people to treat you with respect. Okay. Um, don't delude yourself. Don't lie to yourself about, okay, well, I can make this work. I'll be okay with just the bare minimum. No, you won't. You won't be okay with that. If anything, you will start internalizing it and start getting angry with yourself, okay? Or feeling like you're betraying yourself in some ways. So again, I had friends who had to come and tell me, stop trying to convince these people of your worth. Stop doing that, okay? Because I was locked into it. And you may be locked into it too, right? You know, that sense of you're not gonna run me out of here. You know, I have a mission. There's something, I'm trying to do. I just want to tell you, you can still fulfill that mission, but maybe not there. Okay. So if people are fighting you for you to do your job, that makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. Okay. So are there other ways? Again, I talk about are there other ways that you can take your skills, whatever you've done at that job, can you take it somewhere else? If that's another job, if it's starting your own business, whatever that might be. But it's not worth it to fight people to do your job. That makes no sense. And it doesn't make sense because they're going to try to undermine you the whole way. Okay. So they're going to try to undermine you. They're going to, for me, I experienced a lot of character assassinations where people were spreading lies about me. It just got to a point where I got wrapped up into this. And I had a video that I talked about the other day about, when the job is turning you into someone else. Okay. So then that put me on the defensive. And I know that one of my triggers is that when people lie on me or people say things about me, I feel like I have a need to defend myself. And I was like, why are you doing this? Like I'm wasting time trying to defend myself against people in a situation that's toxic. Okay. So just like in a toxic relationship, when you know the relationship is not going anywhere, same thing with a toxic job like that, right? So you may feel that you're torn, right? So you may feel like you don't want to go, right? You don't want to go because you're committed for whatever reason, you're committed to the work, you're committed to, right? You're committed to the life you created at this job or the financial gains related to that job. You can go somewhere else. You can go somewhere else. Okay. So you may love your colleagues, you may love the people that you work around, okay? But still, if it's harming you, it's not there for you, okay? So again, this message is for Black women who are ready to leave. So I'm not convincing you because you're already ready to leave, okay? I'm just trying to share with you in terms of I understand the experience, the journey that you're under, that you're in. in terms of preparing yourself to leave, it is a very difficult process. It really is, because you feel like a part of your life is gone. And that's true. Like a part of your identity will be different because you're no longer associated with that place. Okay. You're no longer in community with certain people, maybe that you really like. Okay. So I do acknowledge that. And I do want to just say, if that is your experience, that it is a common experience, that you may feel that. Okay. You may feel like, I don't want to stay because they beat me down and I'm being, disrespected, demoralized. I'm looking at myself in a negative way, right? So you may not want to stay because of that, but you may not want to go because of other reasons too. Okay. So if you are in this state and it feels really, I could just say yucky. It feels bad, okay, to be in this state because you just feel indecisive. You can't really decide what you want to do. So I want to give you some tips if you are in this situation. Number one, again, I cannot stress enough. I'm going to say this every time I can. If you are able to take a leave of absence, please do so. Please check in with your employer, human resources, whatever, to see if you could take a leave of absence for however long you take it, okay? Having that time away allows you to, number one, puts a pause on the abuse, hopefully, okay, that you're not constantly having to fight in that emotional labor of getting up every day, going to a job you dread, okay. And my hope is that when you're on your leave of absence, that you are able to find some time to rest, that you are able to find some way to start exit planning in terms of really being clear in terms of what direction you want to go in. And my hope is that when you're on your leave of absence, that you did not have a similar experience as I did, in which the job kept harassing me. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? Even though I'm submitting paperwork, I got stuff from the doctor, just that ridiculousness. Okay. Now that was just another sign to me. I got to get out of here. Okay. You're not even giving me the respect and respecting the boundary that I've set, that I need time away because you are harming me. Okay. So I hope you have a different experience. So leave of absence is the one thing. Second thing is, can you get into therapy? Can you get into a space where you are talking to someone who's objective, the information is confidential, and you can talk about the different issues that you are dealing with that are impacting your decision. Okay. So I've talked before about when people are telling you to stay at a toxic job. So that may have a really significant impact on your decision making. So in therapy, you're able to identify the role this has on you, why it has that role, to work through that so that you have the clarity and you can make the steps for you to do what you need to do for yourself. Okay. Nobody's living your life. Nobody has to live the consequences of your life except for like minor children. Okay. But just keep in mind that you are living your own life. Okay. So again, leave of absence, therapy. I've talked about business coaching. So business coaching has been extremely helpful for me as I have pivoted out and resigned from that toxic job. So a business coach or business coaches I've actually had, Black women, have helped me in terms of coming up with a plan and helping me execute that plan in terms of moving forward with doing my own business. Okay. So it has been very, very helpful. Okay. And I'm doing much, much better. And always, in relation to leaving a toxic job. So that's the other thing. And then lastly, the master class, again, that I talked about in relation to my collaboration with S. Emery Archer. And Emery Archer is the anti-HR lady. And the master class is called Save Yourself, Channel Your Inner Harriet so that you can leave that toxic hostile job with your sanity and your coins. Okay. So it's a 2-day masterclass the end of June, towards the end of June. And we will be talking about the psychological, dealing with that psychological trauma that you experience in a toxic hostile job, how to clear that psychological blockage and that garbage. So that number one, you have clarity in terms of what is my next direction, and that you feel more empowered because we don't want you ending up in another toxic hostile job. We don't want that for you. Okay. So there's a lot involved with that. So that is confronting your fears. It is going through the grief process in relation to leaving a toxic job. As I said in this whole video, It's not easy to leave a job, even if it's toxic, okay? So the grief process and also dealing with what is your wellness plan as you are moving forward and that will sustain you, and what are the possible trauma triggers or trauma experiences that you may have even after leaving the job. So that's the part I talk about in the master class. And then Anne Marie talks about distinguishing between a hostile, toxic job. She'll talk about documentation. She'll also talk about really empowering you if you decide to go to HR. What is the language to use so you are empowered? And how do you talk to HR so that you don't leave any money on the table when you leave a toxic job? Okay, we want you to get your coins. So we want you to have your mind right and getting your money. Okay. So when I talk about the experiences in terms of what I'm teaching in the master class helps you jumpstart your healing journey. Okay. So if you are still in a toxic hostile job, again, it helps you jumpstart it. However, the healing, in terms of, I know for my own self and for the clients I've worked with, the healing really, really, really starts once you leave the job, okay? Because it's hard to heal in the same environment where you're being beat down and abused, okay? So, again, in closing, I understand if you have that feeling like the 702 song, I don't want to stay, I don't want to go, okay? And actually just hoping that the job will get it together, hoping that the job will see your worth and get it together. A lot of times they don't, okay? Just like in a bad relationship, they don't, okay? And so you decide what you need to do, okay? So I've shared resources with you. Again, my hope is that you can see what I'm doing in terms of seeing that I've left a toxic job, see that I'm in a healing process, and that I'm doing very well, okay? And all the Black women that I've brought on, some of the women I knew, but the vast majority of the women that I've interviewed, I didn't know them before. I just reached out to them or they reached out to me, and then we had conversations. So I want you to see from other Black women that they have also made the decision to leave. I want you to hear from other Black women that these negative experiences are very common for us. That's a sad situation around the world, across professions, okay? But my hope is that you also see from my experience and other Black women that you can leave. You have options, okay? I don't want you to feel like you're stuck. You may feel stuck, but there's a way to get unstuck, okay? So the ways to get unstuck, again, take a leave of absence if you can, seek therapy. And again, I have a video on my YouTube channel, which is Lifting As We Climb Consulting Wellness Services, that talks about how to find a Black therapist. So that information will be in the description section. I also will have information description section about how to find a Black therapist in terms of online directories. And there are certain organizations that provide free therapy services. Okay. So again, that information will be in the description section. So that coaching, okay. So the Black Women's Coaching Directory will be in the description section. And then lastly, the masterclass that I talked about. So again, the masterclass is called Save Yourself, Channel Your Inner Harriet, so that you can leave that toxic hostile job with your sanity and your coins. Okay, so Anne Marie are working to help other Black women out. So we are conducting you out if you are ready to go. Okay, this is not for people who are not ready to go. Okay, this is for people who are ready to go. We're helping to help you see that North Star. Okay, we're helping you to see a better life for yourself. We want you to be better. We want you to feel better. Okay, so we are helping you connect to what's better for you. There's better for you. Okay, so I'm tuning out for today. So again, I hope that you know that if you are having that feeling, I don't really want to stay, I don't really want to go, it's common, okay? You can work through it too, okay? I've been there. Okay, so thank you for tuning in. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so, Lifting As We Climb Consulting Wellness Services. And please like this video. Please share this video with as many Black women as you know who are experiencing a toxic, hostile workplace. There's so many of us out here who are hurting, okay? And I hope that I can help support our healing journey, okay? So thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.